What if there was a device in the vehicle that just soon as you pulled up to the pump, it transmitted the data since the last time that vehicle gassed up, just the number of miles driven. For privacy folks, it's not like where they drove or, where they were at, but it's just the miles driven. And it gets reflected on the price that you pay in the pump. So instead of, you're not paying the gas tax if you have that device, you're paying just for the miles you drove. So it takes care of any of this credit rebate stuff where they are doing it in Oregon. You just, you've got that device, there's your charge for the miles you drove.
Today is December the 8th, 2017. We are in Riverside at the county building. We are here today because the California Transportation Commission Technical Advisory Committee is meeting here today. They only meet a couple of times a year and they usually meet all over the state, so I have never had an opportunity to actually go to one of these meetings. In this meeting today, they are going to be discussing taxing us by the mile. They want to tax you and track you for every mile that you drive, because the intent is to make it so expensive to drive a car that you are unable to.
I'd like to start by thanking you for saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I think it's unpatriotic when they don't do that in our country anymore. There's politicians that refuse to do it, and that's terrible. Anyway, I'd like to start by saying that I oppose the tax on mileage. I think it's unconstitutional that a body of elected or appointed officials are even taking these kind of steps to try to hinder our freedom by putting a tax on our mileage. You have no right to tell me where I can go, when I can go, and how many miles I can drive. That is my constitutional right. You don't have the right to tell me what I can and can't do. This is why we have a constitution, so that we can keep people like you and elected officials from trying to dictate to the American people what we have the right to do. So, I'm trying to get the point across to each and every one of you that some of you people are probably appointed by the governor of California. That doesn't mean that you're above the law. Not one of you has the right to do what you're doing. So I'm asking you to drop this matter, vote no on it, because we don't need this, and we the people have the power to elect and remove officials, even those that appoint you, to what you're doing. So please refrain from trying to hinder and stop our rights, especially on vehicles. We have the right to travel and go wherever we want to go. That is our right under our Constitution. Thank you very much. God bless America.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. Our next speaker is Robert Lawton. Following Robert Lawton will be looks like Fred Banuelos. Mr. Lawton.
Robert Lawton. It's at 2 minutes here.
Yeah, I'm just about to change it.
Okay.
You go ahead and start speaking then. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's be honest. The vehicle mileage tax, which you call the Road Charge Pilot Program, is not primarily about raising revenue for roads and bridges. If the 2/3 Democrat majority in the state legislature wanted to raise revenue for road maintenance, they could wait until after the November 2018 general election, and then in January of 2019 that they could increase the gas tax. Your vehicle mileage tax requires billions of dollars in devices on our cars to track the mileage, and billions of added bureaucrats, to administrate the program. So it's not just bureaucracy incompetence. There's something else involved here in this vehicle mileage tax. And I'd like to point out to you that a lot of people live in Victorville, Apple Valley, and commute 60 miles to work in LA. Other people live in Reno Valley, and they're on the roads for about an hour and a half to and from work if they want to work in Orange County or Los Angeles. And it's going to be a real hardship on these people, you know, to pay the vehicle mileage tax. And if the California wanted to raise revenue for the for roads and maintenance, they would only have to cancel Governor Brown's monument to his greatness called the high-speed rail. The high-speed rail will never be completed. There will never be a link from Los Angeles or Riverside to Sacramento, because there's two mountain ranges that they would have to tunnel through. And as you know, these two mountain ranges, going over the Grapevine or going over the mountains into Santa Clarita, those mountains are highly fractured, and tunneling through those mountains is going to be a nightmare, because there's two plates that join, that fractures up the whole, you know, the mountainside. And so this is really a block people out of their cars.
It cut you off automatically, I apologize. Fred Banuelos, followed by Gary Galeno, I believe. Mr. Banuelos.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. There we go. The vehicle mileage tax is unacceptable. Why do you have these meetings when most people are working? I took the time off to work, from work to learn more about this issue and voice my concerns. What I see so far is that the government wants money to fix roads. What happened to the original tax money we pay to fix roads? Are you receiving less money because of hybrids? How much of an impact are hybrids making? I don't see a lot of hybrids out there on the road. What I know is that the government is misappropriating the tax. I have concerns with DMV collecting money for the program. Why doesn't Caltrans collect the money? DMV already has enough to do. They're always busy. They have to deal with AB60 and Real ID. Are people's driver's license and car registration going to get suspended if they don't pay the gas tax? And why are we even talking about this when SB1 passed? There should be enough tax money to fix the roads. Why is Riverside County Transportation Commission discussing whether to ask voters for a new sales tax? The county already has Measure A. We don't need any new taxes. We need to use the present gas tax for fixing roads and nothing else. I also have concerns about my privacy with this GPS box thing. What makes you think that people won't hack this box and cheat the system? And in closing, I want to say that this vehicle mileage tax is unacceptable. If the government didn't use present gas tax funds for unrelated things, they wouldn't have this problem. Thank you.
Good morning, Technical Advisory Committee. I am here today to let you know that the public is waking up to what you are doing here. This right here is the 2016 SCAG Regional Transportation Plan. This document is a plan to raise our taxes over $500 billion. And do you know what the largest funding mechanism is for this plan? It is what is referred to as a mileage-based user fee, also known as vehicle mileage tax. That's why you are here. You are here to make sure that SCAG steals this money from out of our cars. Now, this document, it is about sustainable community strategy, and it's all about climate change and global warming. So, these plans are about fighting climate change. The gas tax that just was passed is in this document. All the toll roads are in this document. The vehicle mileage tax is in this document. So all these taxes that have been raised on us to fix the roads are going to fight climate change. And I've been watching your guys' meetings for the last couple of years, and Ms. Bartlett and Mr. Madaffer, you guys said it yourselves right out of your mouth that the state of California is siphoning the money from transportation and using it for other things. So you guys admitted that the money is being stolen and not being used for the roads. Do you know what the purpose of this plan is besides to fight climate change, or how they actually do fight climate change? It is to redesign all of Southern California so that we no longer live in single-family homes and are no longer reliant on the automobile. This plan is about getting us onto bicycles, buses, and trains, and you guys are facilitating it. If this vehicle mileage tax goes through, you will have your way with us. There will be no more driving cars, so no one will be able to afford it anymore. The gas tax just went up. It's going to go up again with cap and trade. Toll lanes are being put in, and all over social media, people are posting $700 and $800 car registration bills. Essentially, what this state is trying to do is they want to make it $10,000 to $20,000 a year just to drive an automobile, which is why you are here to tax us by the mile, because the purpose is to make it so expensive to drive that there is no other choice but to ride in those stupid bike lanes that are being put down everywhere. The people have woken up, and none of you are going to get away with this. And since I still have a 30 seconds left, I want to ask one question. You know, we're all adults. People behind me, we know that there's an agenda to get us out of cars. If the agenda is to get us out of cars, then why have we given 1 million driver's licenses to people who are illegally in this country if the plan is to not drive anymore? Are they going to keep driving while we wait at the bus stop? Think about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gary. We'll go next to Greg Britton, and then Stephen, and I can't quite read this, is it Quest?
Good morning, members of the commission. We certainly all agree that the state of California roads is terrible. They are among the worst in the country. Yet, prior to the latest tax increases, California County and the cap and trade currently in effect had the highest gas taxes in the country. Why is that? Why is it in California that it costs 4.7 times more per mile of road built than anywhere else in the country? In a budget of $160 billion. Why can't you, the state government, find money to take care of our priority, good roads, or good schools, having enough water? But there isn't enough money for those type of things. But your answer is, the state's answer is, the government's answer is always to come back and extract more money from the people. Why is that? Government is never expected to be more efficient and effective. Never, ever, ever. I watched some of the video of your May meeting, and they're saying, well, you make sure we're not going to tell anyone that this is about controlling when and where people drive. It's just to raise money. Well, we know how government operates. No matter what we are promised up front, inevitably, this program will be used to track where and when we drive. Inevitably, this program will be used for variable pricing to control when and where we drive. And inevitably, this program will be a tax increase, not a tax replacement. That is how government works. And none of you can honestly deny any of those points I just made. Now, there's a member on your list here, I don't see him here today, in charge of social equity. The average commute in Southern California is 30 minutes. Within that time, driving by car, you can reach 60 times more jobs than you can by government slower transportation. So we want people to work. We think we would want people to work. But now with this policy, and what Gary just mentioned about trying to get people out of their cars, the lower and middle income people, you're making it harder for them to work. You're punishing them for trying to go out and get a job because housing prices mean you got to live a long way away from where you work. So not only is this bad policy, it invades our privacy, it is unfair to the people that you think you're trying to be fair to by trying to price them out of their cars. This is a terrible idea, and I urge you to do what is right and reject this program and tell the legislature you need to come up with another idea. I'm spending our money wisely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Britton. We'll next go to Stephen, is it Quest? Okay. Followed by Luis Reyes. Vehicle mileage tax. As a person who earns his living by making deliveries with my personal vehicle, this would directly impact my ability to earn a living. There is plenty of money in the revenue for building roads. They just have to prioritize building roads above other things. Just like in our personal lives, if we want to spend money on a particular thing, we'll find money in our budget and less elsewhere so that we can spend it on what we want. The government needs to concentrate on making the roads better and spend the money that it already has on the roads and not on things that it doesn't need to spend the money on and probably should not spend the money on. Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen. Luis Reyes, followed by Christopher Folger.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I wanted to come here and express my displeasure with what is going on. This road charge is ridiculous. It's not going to go because we're going to organize. And I'm telling you right now, people are woke. We're going to organize, and a lot of you won't be around because you won't have your jobs. We'll find someone to replace you that does a good job for the people, by the people. And these are the things that I wanted to let you know. This tax that you're going to place on people is really a target on the middle class. And this is horrible because I doubt if any one of you is above the upper middle class sitting right there. So it's going to affect you too. It's going to affect your children and their children. So I want you to think about what's going on with this. Somebody is trying to put this agenda through that doesn't have the citizens' best interest in mind. California has always been known as a great state. And I'm here to let you know that I'm here to make California great again. And I will do everything I possibly can to organize and to oppose this ridiculous tax, this road mileage tax, and help the citizens of California. And I hope that you go home this evening and think about what I said, and my face sticks in your mind, because you'll probably see it again. I've never been involved in things like this, but I can tell you, I am a good organizer, and I can do it. So please, think about what you're doing. I oppose this. California opposes this. The middle-class citizens oppose this, and you need to think about the masses that will start waking up, which they're doing right now. The reason you don't have an audience, a bigger audience today, is because you picked a weekday to do this, 10 a.m. in the morning on Friday. A lot of our people are working because they have to work for a living. This tax will impose such a burden on them that you are deliberately, if you vote this in, or if you consider it even, you are deliberately hurting the citizens of California. Please think about what you're doing. Again, people are woke and they're coming up. So I'm sure that that you folks, when you go home tonight, and Brian, I'm hoping you're listening to this. I've been watching you while I've been sitting down. I love that smile you have. But please heed my warning. People are woke. The people of California will not stand for this. Trying to help. Thank you so much for giving me this time, and I appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes.
I'm reading through this California charge pilot program. I mean, this is just outrageous. Vehicle mileage tax. We already have toll roads that are going to be built. 15 from Cohalco all the way to Highway 395 in Hesperia. We have to deal with toll lanes and on the 10 freeway, 33 miles of toll lanes, the gas tax. This is a plan to get us out of our cars. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's no surprise. This is just outrageous. putting devices in our cars, tracking us by the amount of miles that we drive, saying that this isn't an issue. This isn't an issue of privacy. The fact that you guys know how many miles we drive, regardless of where exactly we went, is an invasion of privacy. So I suggest this committee just drop this matter. Overall, it's a boondoggle. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We'll next go to Carolyn Gonzalez, followed by Judy Neal. Morning.
Good morning. Where do I begin? I'm just going to tick off a few things that I was reading on some of the information you put out today. One of the things that struck me was on tab 6, where it indicates one of the objectives is to reduce the reliance on automobiles. Well, what have you proposed for the senior to do? We cannot walk to the market and bring all our groceries home. We cannot walk to go to the mall. We cannot ride a bike. And if we did, and you propose that we all get bicycles, all we need is one good fall and there goes the hip. We cannot afford to call Uber or Lyft or a taxi. How do we get around? And how much exposure do you give us sitting at a bus stop? We are prime candidates for crimes. We are the people that people like to scam on, to attack and to rob. Where are you putting our lives with this ridiculous thing? The second thing is, in your memorandum, you indicate that the legislature, should continue pursuing other long-term alternatives. What other long-term alternatives? And now you're saying that this tax may be $1.08 cents. But then when is it going to be that you're going to tax us or charge us differently because we're driving in prime time rather than at 3 o'clock in the morning? There are no controls in this. And the other things that I want to ask about is, what about the visitors to California? How are you going to charge them? And what gasoline taxes that we're now paying are you going to eliminate? There is a point when all of a sudden taxation becomes without representation. And we're seeing more and more of that. We know what happens when an electorate gets angry. And this electorate is getting very angry. You can only be pushed so far until it's either fight or die or leave. And right now there's a lot of people leaving. I myself am contemplating doing the same thing. So I just want to wrap up and say this tax is discriminatory against seniors. And I want to ask the question that I just want to say that you talk about fixing the roads. Why are we going to fix the roads if we're not going to be able to drive our cars?
Thank you very much, Ms. Gonzalez. Judy Neal, followed by Greg Allen. And following Greg Allen, I've got Donald Dix. Yep. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Judy Neal. I, like Carolyn, I'm a senior. I just turned 70 years old. I lost my husband in October. I'm now living on a very fixed income. And for all of you sitting up there, you have to consider what you're doing to the seniors in this state. We've paid our taxes. We've paid our way through every single year that we have lived in this state. Now we have intruders coming into our state, and you're giving them carte blanche on everything. We will have visitors from other states, like Mrs. Gonzalez said. How are they going to be affected by this tax that you're going to be inflicting onto the citizens of this state? My son lives in Nevada. I'm going to have to think maybe twice about taking 2 trips a year. My daughter's moving to Arizona because they're tired of being taxed to death. I have a daughter in Texas. That's where I'm looking to live because you know what? My dollar doubles, almost triples in other states. So for me, it's like, how much more are you going to put on us? How much? Because I can't afford it. And I wanted to die in the state where I was born. But I'm not going to be able to do that because you're forcing people who pay their way out of this state. And I am angry. I have no idea what you're all thinking. We have cap and trade, SB 1. You have taxed us this past year to the point of millions of dollars. I'm not going to be able to afford my registration. I'm not going to be able to afford my property tax because of SB 231, the sewer tax. My parcel tax is going to go up almost $1,200 to $1,800 a year. So, sit back and look at what you're doing to the people who pay your wages. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Neal. Let's go next to Greg Allen. Following Greg will be Donald Dix.
Hi, I'm Greg Allen. I'm very angry and frustrated. I get frustrated when my elected officials don't listen to what I have to say. None of you are listening, especially you, Jim. Every person who's been up here, you've been occupied. Excuse me, don't interrupt me. I won't interrupt you. So I'm going to continue with that. You have been looking at some business in front of you for the whole time. Every single person's been up here to talk. You are an outrageous person to think that your agenda should be imposed on all of us. Secondly, how many of you here can afford an electric car? Because I guess the rich people who can afford an electric car will be able to travel the road without paying any taxes. This is an unfair tax because all these people who own electric cars aren't going to be paying it. Now, Jim, I wish you would pay attention because that's your job here. We pay you to do. Don't interrupt me. Now, I asked you to pay attention. There's a few people here not paying attention, Pam, and the rest of you, I like the way you're paying attention. Steve, and you especially, I've noticed that you've listened to everybody, and Brian, of course. But Jim, you're an outrageous individual. You're a politician. You're supposed to listen to the people, and the people are telling you not to do this tax. Every last person around here has had that view, but you, sir, are ignoring us. Every time somebody comes up here, you're not paying attention. Right. Now, that's why I'm angry and frustrated because my elected officials are not paying attention to me. Now, electric cars, they're for the rich people. The rich people can afford not to pay this tax. A tax is a tax is a tax. By any other name, it's a tax. We don't need new taxes. We've been imposed upon these taxes already. All these last-minute bills that got cap and trade and all the rest of them. You know, the taxes went up 12 cents a gallon. What are you thinking? You don't represent the people when you want these. Pay attention, Jim. Pay attention, I'm talking. You're supposed to listen to me. You're supposed to respect what I have to say. You're supposed to give me my lousy 3 minutes, and you're supposed to respect me. But by you occupying your nose everywhere else but what the people have to say is the real contempt in this room today. You're contemptuous. And we're angry. And we want you to vote in the way of the people. And if you don't, the people have other options. We still can carry guns if we have a right license. We can find out, you know, who's voting yes on these things and go around to your neighborhoods and fill out a little brochure to all your people in your neighborhood. And we'll just give them a little note saying what you're up to. Jim, that's for sure for you. Send out about 100 of them. Your neighbors will hear from you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen, for your comments. Donald Dix, followed by John Willis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wore my... Is this working? There it is. I wore my Santa hat today.
thought I'd bring a little Christmas cheer into the room. Because I understand there's a lot of Grinches out there that want to steal Christmas from the people. And that's been happening all year long under the supermajority that we've had in Sacramento. People have mentioned SB1 and cap and trade. These are things that are being done in order to, I believe, paper over the real problem. And the real problem is that the money that we're already paying is not being used in the way that it's supposed to be used. I traveled up to Lake Tahoe not too long ago, and another family member did, but they continued on into Carson City into Nevada. And over the table, they remarked, they didn't even know what they were referencing. They said, man, as soon as you get into Nevada, the roads get so much better. And I said, isn't it amazing that Nevada can produce better roads than California with less money? Why is that? Well, I think the secret's starting to get out. The secret is that we have this massive unfunded pension liability that's stealing money from other buckets and being used in order to prop this up. We have a pension system that's unsustainable. The left loves that word, unsustainable. Things are unsustainable. You hear that no matter what the issue is, it's unsustainable. The pension system in California is unsustainable. Corporations gave up the idea of a defined benefit plan back in the early 80s, and that's why 401k and defined benefit plans were introduced. Somehow the state of California hasn't figured out that defined benefit plans are unsustainable. Every city, every municipality is looking at ways to shore that up. My own city of Corona is looking at adding an additional penny to sales tax in order to meet their pension and benefit obligations. Unsustainable. The money that we've been paying in gas taxes all along, the highest in the nation, 6th highest until it was just raised, was being used for other purposes. Obviously not to pay for the roads, because if you used all this money to pay for the roads, we would have roads of gold. The roads in California would be immaculate. But the money hasn't been used for that. The money's been used for other purposes, and now we have SB1. We've raised gas taxes. We have cap and trade, more taxes. What's that money going to be used for? Is it going to go to roads like has been promised? Oh, I've heard about the lockbox, but I've heard about lockboxes before. Somehow, bureaucrats find their ways around lockboxes. We know. That's the anger you're hearing today. And somebody made the point that this room would be a lot fuller if this hearing was after hours when people can work. None of these people are getting paid to be here. Are you? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dix. We'll go next to John Willis, followed by Van Chung Huang. Mr. Willis.
Yes, I'd like you to go home tonight and call Jerry and tell him I'm taxed enough already. You know, I just had to go to San Bernardino yesterday and pay my property taxes. Now my gas taxes have gone up. They want to make the freeways toll roads, and now you want to charge me by how many miles I drive? My son just bought a home. Guess where he had to buy it? 30 miles from his house, because you probably also like open borders policies, which has inflated housing prices and rental prices. So now he's got to commute to work, so now he has to pay another tax because he can't afford to live close to his job. I don't know what you guys want from us or what you think we have to offer, but I'm taxed enough already. I can't do it anymore. And you can't chase everyone out of California. Pretty soon we're going to get sick of it and we're going to revolt. We're not having it. And you, Mrs. O'Connor, I saw you on a video make the statement that this tax was more equitable. That is not true, ma'am. Your life is not equitable. It's not fair. We all have to live according to our own works. And you know, your little statement reminded me of that movie Dr. Zhivago, where poor Dr. Zhivago, after getting conscripted into the commie army, comes back to his home that's now sublet into condos, basically. And that's the statement they made when he walked into his home. And he had to say, yes, this is much more equitable, comrade. We can't pay any more taxes. And it's not even fair to pay more taxes, because what is it going for? You know, on the way over here, one of my fillies got knocked loose because the doggone freeway so tore up. Now, I'm pretty sure that the gas tax pays for that already, right? Didn't we already pay for the roads once? and now the gas tax pays to repair the roads. Why aren't they being repaired? Because like everyone says, it's going for these stupid pensions and for you guys to go out to lunch. We're sick of it. I'm going to remember all your names, and we're going to be going after you. I know you're appointed by Jerry, but we're going to go do our best to go after you, whatever it is. We're not going to have it anymore. I don't know what you're smiling about, man. You think it's funny that I'm getting taxed out of the state? You think it's funny? You know, my kids are having to move out of the state. I have 5 adult children. One of them already left. You're just going to chase us all out? Is that what you're going to do? Or wait for us to die off? Is that your plan? How much are we going to have to pay so you can sit up there and go out to lunch and retire at a nice big fat pension? You think it's funny, do you? I don't think it's funny. I'm outraged. I'm sick of paying taxes. I'm sick of paying for freeloaders. You know, some of these retired people have worked their butts off and done everything their mama told them to do, and they paid their taxes. Now you want more? How much is enough? I wish one of you would answer me. Nothing? 40%? Is 40% enough?
Thank you, sir, for your comments. We'll next go to Van Chung Hong, followed by Betty Robinson. Hope I pronounced that right.
I'm really sorry.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is my first time coming over here, and I'm actually coming from Torrance, and I'm currently working at the restaurant, and I'm against any kind of tax right now, because if we are taxed, then business has to raise the price, then they're gonna lay off a lot of workers. I'm really afraid of this, and I'm seriously opposing any kind of tax. If we are getting taxed to the oblivion, then how can we live over here, sir? And anyone listening to me, I'm really opposing this kind of tax. Yeah, that's only my comment. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Betty Robinson is our last speaker. Good morning.
Good morning. I fully support like 95% of all of the previous statements. And if this mileage tax measure was placed on a ballot, you know it would not pass. Have you considered the impact of this tax on small businesses who are struggling already? The gas tax was the last straw for many, many people I know, and they're moving out of the state. Pretty soon, who's going to be left to pay all these taxes? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Probably should just offer, first of all, thank you to all of you that spoke, and I appreciate the decorum. You should all understand that the group that's up here is a group of volunteers that were put in place as a result of the passage of Senate Bill 1077 in 2014. That bill wanted to look into a long-term, sustainable funding mechanism as a potential replacement to the gas tax. Senate Bill 1077 created a road charge pilot program as well as a 15-member volunteer technical advisory committee to study, to gather input, and to make recommendations on the parameters of the pilot. This technical advisory committee, as I mentioned, is a group of volunteers from throughout the state with varying expertise. And then during 2015, the Technical Advisory Committee held 11 different meetings throughout the state, and as a result, instituted and California completed the largest road charge research effort to date, piloting more than 5,000 vehicles that reported in excess of 37,000 miles driven over a 9-month period. These statistics really reinforced the desire for mobility and a safe and reliable transportation system. And I understand many of the comments. When it comes to the gas tax, keep in mind that the fuels tax, which was first created in Oregon in 1918, and then implemented here in California in 1922, is based on a 20th century assumption that fuel purchases mirror road usage. And until the advent of hybrids, electric vehicles, and vehicles that are getting 50 and 60 miles to the gallon, you know, vehicles in those days were substantially similar. And everybody used to get just 10 miles to the gallon. Today, we don't see that to be the case. Vehicles, technology, and what California is looking for from transportation system has changed dramatically. And because of those changes, road use and fuel tax payments are really no longer connected. All you have to do is look at the road and you'll see somebody driving that's in a car in the lane next to you is getting 50 miles to the gallon. And if you're in a car getting 12 miles to the gallon, guess what? If you're driving 12 miles to the gallon vehicle, you're paying a lot more than the person in the vehicle next to you. And that's what this is all about long term, is to try to create an equalized system. No decisions have been made, nothing but recommendations. I would encourage each of those that spoke today, and while I respect your comments highly and your upset nature, I would ask you to read the reports and understand again, as I just mentioned, why we're here and the basis for what we are trying to study. So with that, I appreciate your time and the comments. We'll now move into item 3 on the agenda, and that's the approval of the minutes from our meeting on May 19th.
Bullshit. None of you would be on the board unless
You're out of
you're
order.
a lapdog
Please leave the
for
room, sir.
Governor Brown. You're all lapdogs.
Thank you for your time. We have a motion for approval of the minutes from May.
Second.
A motion from O'Connor, second from Finnegan. Any discussion?
Could someone follow him out and make sure they don't put him in handcuffs?
All right, the minutes are approved. Let's move to item 4 on the agenda, and that's any reports from members of the tax committee on any road charge related issues. All right, our second to last item on the agenda, back to public comment. We have one more slip, and that will be from Roy Rutgers. I believe I pronounced that right. Please come on. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I heard Think Big. I'd like to take you back to California pre-1990, when we were #1 economically, quality of life, education, and more importantly, transportation. Now we are down in the 40s or 50s or even probably even working lower for that. And it's precisely from the government agencies and boards like this. As I heard from the lady say, oh, well, we're going to take all these fees and shove them in there, and then we're going to put them all into one piece so it's a smooth transition. No. SB1, cap and tracks and tracking tax, is designed to raise the taxes up. We got a dollar a gallon now charge more on gas or whatever the prices are. You're going to systematically screw the people into the ground. You're going to charge them more, as we have done for 3 decades, for less services. You're going to clog their roads, make their quality of life less every day. And I hope you're really proud of what you're doing on this board and what our government is doing. Because it's not about what you want, it's what is best for everybody. And this is the United States, the freest country that has ever been in the history of the earth. And it was built on free market principles and you getting to choose what you want to do and not have government intrude on your quality of life. And especially not have government trample on you. And that's what's happened too far, and you can see the results. Since the mid-1990s, we have had net migration out of California to the 49 states. In 150 years prior, that never happened. You have to look at what you're doing, because I said at the World Logistics Center hearings, when that project came up, I said the biggest part of pollution is idling cars and trucks. And the South Coast Air Quality Management came up to me afterwards and said, you're exactly right. You're not attacking what the problem is, you're making the problem worse. And that's why California is declining against the rest of the nation. That's why residents of California are leaving. They're not leaving because the weather's bad. They're not leaving because we don't have beautiful terrain. They're leaving because of government policies. Every day, businesses are leaving. You're taking away the incentive that makes things great, and that's the free market. And If we are to have the pursuit of happiness, that's where we have to go. And we have to have government representatives and boards that are working for the people and not against them.